Am I overreacting? Went no contact with my mother after she repeatedly insulted my husband. By Spicy Mama 527. That might seem a little extreme. No contact because of an insulting thing? I don't know. But like with everything, context is important. You can't just make assumptions from nothing. About a month ago, my mother and I got into a very heated argument through text messaging, and it resulted in me going no contact with her. It started out by me suggesting I drive my own vehicle to a wedding dress shop appointment for my sister because my 6-month-old daughter was going to be babysat by a family friend for the first time. Must make you a little nervous, right? You just got a baby, right? 6 months old, and now someone else is looking after it. That's your child, you know? I ought to be a little bit nervous. But there's a lot of people going no contact with their parents, and it looks kind of like a bad trend. Like, why would you want to go no contact with your parents? Problem is, I don't have bad parents, right? So for me, it would seem ridiculous to want that because I love my parents. But when your mother or father is maybe abusive, really uncaring, maybe a little bit too selfish and narcissistic, where them being in your life is just an overall negative, then it becomes, of course, a different story. I think a lot of the problems is that some people are a little bit too quick to do it, right? They see a trend of more people are going no contact with their parents, and then all of a sudden they kind of want to join, or that idea gets like planted in their head and they go for it quicker, because that can definitely happen. Especially if you're a little younger, maybe not as like strong in your own skin, where you feel like you really need to like, oh, I did it too, guys, and then you feel safer because you kind of belong to a group. But I feel like it's also just something where people feel like they're more justified in doing so. Just like with almost everything mental health related or family related or something that's kind of in this vein, is that it's a really double-edged sword. Because you have a lot of people, like I said before, who do it for kind of the wrong reasons. Now, there isn't a black or white way of saying which reason is good and which reason is bad. It's just an overall case-by-case judgment where you think like, okay, was this really necessary? Couldn't y'all just work this out? There's also a lot of people who just don't tolerate the BS anymore and choose for, you know, their own mental well-being. So I guess what I'm saying is we're gonna judge, right? Because our opinion just matters so much, whether or not this is a justified reason. Right, I thought this was a period, but it's a comma. So for the first time, family friend, right? And I wanted to be readily available just in case. That's why she's going with her own car, so that when something's happening, right? You just go get to her child, right? I get it. You're a new parent, of course you would do something like that. Out of nowhere, my mother went on an insulting rant about my husband's character, his job, and his capabilities as a father. This included stating that he doesn't really care about our daughter if he can't call out of work. He's a law enforcement officer, so to ask him to call out of work for me to attend a dress appointment was silly in my opinion. This isn't the first time she has done this, but usually I can brush it off because my husband is not sensitive to words. And yeah, law enforcement is not just like any old corporate job or whatever. You can't just call out whenever you like. You probably could, like if there's something serious, but like she said, for a dress appointment, that may be a little, right, his job is kind of important, because yeah, he gives a ticket here and there, who cares? But if there's something really amiss, right, who shows up? It's not just like, oh, I won't get this report done in the day, I have to do it next day. It's like, okay, like actual people's lives and the safety, like these are all at play. You don't just call out for nothing. Now, of course, we don't have massive amounts of context. We know her husband is a law enforcement officer. We know that she is going to an appointment and the baby needs to be babysat by someone else. But that means that it's just worked out. It's just a precaution for, let's say something happens, which if you're a new parent, of course you're going to take precautions. And you just want to make sure that everything goes well. And then all of a sudden, that just means that the husband doesn't care about his daughter? That's quite a conclusion to jump to, Mom. And apparently it isn't the first time. However, I know she is using him against me because she knows that I am super defensive of those I love. I finally hit my breaking point and I went cold turkey, no contact. It's breaking my heart because I do love my mom and she is a great grandmother, despite not being the best mom to me. She lost both parents at such a young age and was never shown real love, so I tried to extend her grace. However, that is also not your responsibility, right? And that's an argument a lot of people use. Oh, but they raise you, right? Not just moms. Parents in general, they raised you, they kept the roof over your head, even though that's not always the case. Some parents don't even do that. But that's like, it's something you should of course be appreciative of, but it is also bare minimum, right? I will always be grateful for my mom and dad for working, you know, getting a house, getting us food, getting us clothes, getting us an education, right? They did that for me and my siblings, and we're grateful. But on the other hand, that's kind of just the bare minimum of being a parent. Like, that's what you're supposed to do when you decide to have kids, because they decided to have kids. It's a responsibility they take on. That doesn't mean that you're necessarily obligated to have a relationship with them when they are clearly not respecting you or the people you love or name something. It can be anything. But this isn't healthy anymore. And I don't want my daughter to be subjected to slander about her dad. This is also spoiling over to other family members, and now I am seriously being outcasted. Am I overreacting for cutting off contact? I just don't know how else to get through to her. I'm curious as to what she means with other family members. Like, are they taking your mom's side and then now you're being outcast of the whole family? Dude, every time I read some of this, I'm so glad that my family is normal. Well, they're not normal. They are very unique people. Let's just say that. But I love them all dearly, and they all are very respectful and all that stuff. Context. My mother and I have always had a tumultuous relationship. This isn't a one-side-of-the-blue fight. I have just hit a breaking point. Yeah, that's something that people often miss. I remember when I was in a more depressive time a few years ago. I had to go to school, and I just broke down, right? I just couldn't hold it together. It was just over. I couldn't go. It's not there. Nothing's there. And in my mind, and I'm sure some other people thought that as well, like, you're just breaking down because you have to school, right? What kind of pussy are you? And they would be right. But that wasn't the case, of course. There was all these things creating just a mountain of stuff where the prospect of going to school seemed too much because there was this whole, like, ball sack of just stuff underneath. It was already making me reach my limit. One drop can be the drop that spills the bucket, right? Or whatever that saying is. You get what I mean. This was that drop. But people, usually yourself as well, are way too quick to see things in isolation, right? Me personally, I would always tell myself that I was stupid and dumb and it was and whatever. When I had some real stuff going on, like I could have been a little more kind to myself, that probably would have helped. All that to say, I don't think you're overreacting. At some point, you have tried enough. You tried getting through to someone, you tried seeing it their way, you tried arguing, you tried getting them to see it from your point of view, and when they just refuse to reciprocate any, right, understanding, any empathy, any whatever, right, eventually there's no point in trying anymore. You're just gonna drain yourself by trying to convince this person that your husband isn't a useless idiot, which is also just very insulting anyway, and you'll just be done. There's not more you can do. So then to take care of yourself, right, and also of your family, because I'm sure even though your husband probably won't show it, he's not liking it. Let's be honest now. Of course, you don't want your daughter to experience all this, like you said, slander towards your dad. Her dad is supposed to be your hero, right? So yeah, that's a really stupid situation because, like she said, she does love her mom, but you can still love someone but also recognize the futility in pursuing a relationship further when it's just not working, right? You're not gonna give up your husband, especially since you just had a child. You gotta choose. You're forced into that position, or you stay in limbo forever and then your mental health deteriorates because you keep fighting a fight that's going nowhere. That's exhausting. You can't do that. And she chose her family. Well, she chose her she chose her family, not her family, if you know what I mean. But good for you. Don't let it happen, right? Take care of your own. And that's what she did. So, well done. I get that it's difficult, and I understand that it might be a little bit weird to some of us watching. Because like I said at the beginning, maybe for us, we could never stop a relationship with our parents because we love them. But some parents, they're just dickheads. Sorry, it's just the truth. It sucks, but it can be. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. Shout out to Spicy Mama 527 once more, right, for this post. I hope things are going well, of course. I hope your daughter's healthy. I hope the relationship with your husband is going well, all that type of stuff. Yeah, I feel like we discussed some important topics. Leave a like on the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Comment something, maybe your opinion, maybe an experience, maybe something totally unrelated. My comment section is a freedom space. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, that will do it for today. Jesus Christ, let's get out of here.